where the West begins in Fort Worth, Texas, to around the globe. You are listening to Talk of the Night. And now, your host, Paranormal Phil. Thank you, and good evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the world, around the globe, or even in your own backyard. I am Paranormal Phil, and later on in the show tonight, we're going to be having, it's finally Friday, and it means Friday night open lines where you can call in and share your stories, experiences, or questions about the paranormal or anything else that the show covers, such as technology and science, health and wellness, dating and relationships, politics and conspiracies, veteran issues, and so forth. So, the only thing we don't talk about is sports and music unless it refers to any of the topics. Other than that, then it's open forum. I will mention the numbers here in a second. Just trying to get, for some reason, Facebook does not want to share my post. So give me 1 second here and we will get things going here. So, yeah, and I want to read the story up in the day, but I will give out the numbers where you can call in, share everything. But hopefully this doesn't share twice. Sorry, I'm using a second computer, so it's a little difficult. This is why why? I shared everything. And why is it only sharing a small portion of it? I don't know. And why? Why? Okay, give me 1 second. I apologize for those listening. It's just that for some reason Facebook is being stupid on my other computer. And I know dead air is bad for business, so for radio business, so that's why I'm trying to talk as much as possible. But okay, let's try this again. Okay, I think I got it this time to where it's posting. Yep. Okay, good. So it's shared around pretty much. I will share it a little more here in a second. But first, before we get into the phone calls and everything, who's ready for a wild weekend? Because it is going to be a hot one here in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm sure it's going to be a hot one probably where you are, unless you're getting thunderstorms and rain, which hopefully you're staying safe out there with that. But first up on the Talk of the Night website, under the story of the day, and this one should be everybody's kind of worst nightmare and everything like that. And that is, knocking sounds come from inside. I don't know why it says line. I'll have to fix that. But inside a deceased woman's coffin. A person who was thought to be dead actually turned out to be very much alive after a funeral in Peru was interrupted by them banging on the lid of the coffin. It was a scenario that would haunt most people's nightmares, and that is being buried alive. However, that is what happened to one unfortunate woman who was thought to be dead in Peru. After a car crash a few weeks before being declared dead, Rosa Isabel Cesapi Kalaka, and I know I butchered that name badly, shocked people at her own funeral Relatives were there to pay their respect when they suddenly heard banging from the inside of the coffin lid. She was rescued quickly and put on life support, but died a few hours later, for real this time. So, like I said, that is probably one of everybody's worst nightmares to go through, to be buried alive. Or, I mean, I've seen videos where people make fun of being buried alive. If you're dead, that's fine, but and people know what's going on, that's fine. But when you're actually buried alive and don't know it, that is a scary prospect in itself. All right, so I just wanted to share that real quick, but anyways, so being buried alive, that is a scary prospect. So tonight, it's Friday night. You know what that means. The phone lines are open. The chat is open. So I'm going to mention the chat first. If you go over to Spreaker.com, sign up for a free account. It don't cost a thing. You don't have to record anything. Just click sign up. Search for Talk in the Night. Click on the live show and scroll down a little bit. There is a chat bar there. You can come in the chat, discuss, or just say hi. Let me know you're listening. You don't have to ask anything. Just let me know you're listening. It helps me with the algorithm and everything like that. Also, if you want to call into the show, share your stories, experiences, or ask me a question about the paranormal or anything else the show covers, like I said, technology, science, health and wellness, dating, relationship, politics and conspiracies, and veteran issues, the numbers to call in are by Skype, using the Skype name Talk in the Night, or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now, I'm going to get into some questions here in a second here to go over from different forms and everything like that. So we're going to go, if I can talk tonight, I pulled up some new forms because I've been using a lot of the same forms, and I was like, what the heck am I doing? I'm going over the same questions, and I forget where I was, and I like, wait, I want to answer more people's questions. But this one is from neoseeker.com forums, and this one need help with the paranormal. And if you know me, I've been in the paranormal field for quite a long time, so you're a couple minutes late, Nicole. Nicole's in the chat. Please join the chat. Again, you can discuss the paranormal with her too in there if I don't see the thing, because during Friday night lines, open lines, unless you call in, sometimes I don't see the questions in the chat right away or your stories, experiences. Doesn't mean that I won't get to you, because I will go back to it. So I want to get into this question. Again, this is from neoseeker.com, and it says, need help with the paranormal. I have been undergoing demonic experiences for the last 5 years. I have experienced apparitions, electrical sensations, nightmares, voices, physical trauma, auditory hallucinations, third-party breathing, and unidentifiable stench. I'm afraid that this will go on for a very long time, ranging towards plus 10 years. I want to put an end to this. Please help me identify and put an end to this problem. Ask me questions. I'm willing to answer the best of my abilities, etc. Teleporting insects, neighbors, and behavior, death threats by individual radio to skull frequency, racism, homosexuality. Now, for somebody that is experiencing something like that, what I would recommend is contacting somebody but do your due diligence on that and everything like that. Make sure that you know who you're talking. Bill says he can't comment. He can listen but not comment yet. Okay. Well, tell him to sign up for a free account. It don't cost anything. You should know, Nicole. You don't have to record anything. But tell Bill he can sign up and then help him out with that. But anyways, and Nicole, you missed the story of the day, and it was a good one. Talking about being buried alive, but I would recommend contacting the local church, contacting somebody that knows exactly what they're doing, but do your due diligence on when you seek out these groups, because not everyone is going to have your best interests at heart, and everything like that. So I would recommend, again, contacting somebody. Now, I might actually respond to this post on neoseeker.com and find out where they are, because I have done remote cleansings before. It's not the easiest thing to do. Some people might be like, no, you're lying. You can't do that. No, I can. I've done it before. I just don't care to do it. But if they are in the area, yeah, I'll be glad to do it, because I have gone into locations like this before, and I have helped a lot of people because they do need the help. Now I will say this, and I have mentioned it, I think, on the show before with guests. I've mentioned it on Friday Night Open Lines. When you do a cleansing of a home, don't think that one thing is going to get rid of it completely. Because I tell the people, the clients that I work with, that if I'm coming in to get rid of this thing, it's up to you to keep it out. Now, I'll give you an example. I went to a house to do a cleansing. I did the cleansing. Everything was fine for a couple weeks. Then we got called back to go back out there again. And the people were messing with something in the darker side of the occult world. Some might call it black magic. Some might call it dabbling with the devil. Whatever you want to call it. They kept on messing with that darker stuff in the occult. And they allowed the thing back in. I don't think they wanted to have the home cleanse. Or maybe they were doing it to get the person out of there. But that's not how you do it, because eventually that darker entity is going to come after you if you're trying to do something like that. That's why in Wicca that we believe, or at least I believe, that anything that I'm going to do, whether it's harm to somebody or anything like that, it's going to come back to me 3 times as bad. So I will not do that. Let's see, going to the chat here. Yeah, Nicole feels blessed to know more than one priest. Well, she also knows me, and I'm not a priest. I do not do anything with the church, but I do know how to cleanse a house. And it is not an easy process. Because when I do it, I have to be prepared. I have to prepare myself before I go into a location, because as much as I go into a location, have no fear and everything like that, and surrounded by white light, there's always that chance that it's going to try to attack me. It's going to try to attack the people around me. Again, with the one cleansing that I did, and this is a separate one, I told people that the team that I was working with that called me in, I said, stay outside the room for your safety, but stay out there for my safety. And the reason why I did that is because if something happened to me, I want them to be able to come and pull me out of there. But I also told them, I know what I'm doing, so stay out there, because if you're in there with me and you are not in that location surrounded by a white light, if you're in that location with no fear, that darker entity is going to try to attach itself to you, try to use you to come at me, because it knows it can't get to me one-on-one, but it knows it can get to me through other people. So I also make sure that the people are prepped, the team that I'm working with is prepped before going into a location, because I want to know. Otherwise, I'm going to tell them to stay outside. I'm not going to have anybody hurt on my watch. If I get hurt, that's my own stupidity. But I do know exactly what I'm doing. Nicole says, I've heard people getting attacked while cleansing. Yeah, and it can happen, but if you don't know what you're doing, or think you know what you're doing, but you really don't, you're opening yourself to a whole world of hurt. So that's why I recommend do your due diligence when seeking out a person to do the cleansing. Make sure that you know their credentials, you know what they have done. Now, I don't have, unfortunately, I do not have actual reviews on doing this stuff, because I do this out of the kindness of my heart. But I'm not going to lie to anybody either. I'm like Jim Carrey's character in Liar Liar. I just cannot seem to tell a lie. It hurts me to tell a lie. So when I say that, I mean that I will not steer you wrong on something like that. But again, on this post, I will most likely respond to them and see if there is something. I want to see what one of the responses was. First off, I believe in the paranormal. I can be mighty skeptic, but I have always believed things like demonic possession and apparitions of spirits. I believe such are extremely rare, but they do exist. Well, I don't think that really helped that person, but again, I will comment on it later if I remember. All right, let's see here. Let's go to another question. And again, if you want to call in to the show, again, use the Skype number, Talking the Night, or by phone at 817, use the Skype name, Talking the Night, or by phone at 817-717-1280, or you can pop in the chat. It don't cost a thing. Go to Spreaker.com, sign up for a free account, no matter where you're listening, and sign up for a free account. Don't cost anything. You don't have to record anything, and you can search out Talking the Night, click on the live show, and this is where a video would be helpful, but unfortunately, I'm already the sound engineer. I'm already doing a lot, so it's kind of hard to get everything done. If I had somebody sitting in the studio with me to do all this stuff and all I had to do was pull up the websites and everything or something like that, that would be fine. But I do not have that, so I have to do everything myself. So let's go to paranormalist.com. And there are a lot of discussion boards where you can discuss the paranormal. Not only am I answering these questions, but I am also promoting these websites for free. I don't do it often, but at least it gives me questions to answer on Friday night when I don't get calls or questions in the chat. But it's definitely a great tool to answer as many questions as I can. So this intrigues me right here. Ghost hauntings and beings from other realms. Let's click on that form here and see what it says. I just wanted to see. Okay. Somebody liked my post on Twitter. Sorry, I got 2 computers. I got my phone. I got all my equipment here, so it's a lot to pay attention to. Again, I'm doing this all by myself, so it makes it a little difficult. All right, so here's a few questions about ghosts. Oh, that's a long thing, but I'm sure there's... I want to mention that I do not proofread these questions or anything beforehand. I'm going off of them for the first time, so what you get is actual real comments, actual real opinions, real expertise. Again, I don't search out these questions. I don't do research for it. So let's see. First of all, let's go ahead and say that I'm a believer in the ghost phenomenon. That being said, I am a bit skeptical at times as well. And I'm going to hold up there for a second because I do want to mention that skepticism is healthy in the paranormal field. You might not think of it if you are a true believer in the paranormal and ghost sightings and other things of the paranormal. But skepticism is healthy. To give you an example, if you see or you hear knocking on the wall, well, a lot of people might say, well, especially people that really don't know what they're experiencing. Sorry, I did not want to burp on the air, but I'm trying not to. But anyways, they think, ooh, there's knocking on the wall. It's paranormal, or the lights are flickering. It's paranormal. Not all the time. It's not. There could be like the light in my dining room was flickering earlier, and I was like, okay, but it was only one light, so I know it was not paranormal. I went to my healthy skepticism and like, okay, I turned the light bulb. I was like, okay, is it loose? Is it burning out? And sure enough, I tried it in another socket to check it. Sure enough, it's burning out. So I was like, okay, time to toss that light. So I know that it was nothing paranormal. Now, as far as like knocking on the wall, that could be animals in the wall. That could be pipes banging with water or something like that flowing through the pipe and then making that knocking sound on the wall. There is always most likely a terrestrial explanation for everything. But again, think about that before you say that, it could be faulty wires for lights or something. But think about the terrestrial explanation before you say that it is paranormal, because a lot of times it is a terrestrial explanation. Now, also, another thing, and I'm looking at the comments in the chat. I'm trying to stay up with everything because I can't mix the two screens. I don't have enough screens. When I get a bigger studio, I will be able to put multiple monitors up to where I can put one site here, and I can do everything all at once. But I cannot do it right now. See, Nicole says, I've been experiencing broken glass. We had to repair it once already. Not sure if it had it due from spirits or something natural. Just weird. Can't debunk it yet. Now, a lot of times, a lot of people, and I hate that word debunk, and I'll tell you why. And because it's overused in a lot of the paranormal TV shows. Debunk is such a nasty word as far as my thing goes. Now, I like to use the word disprove. And I thank Steve Hembry for this, for telling me that, because disprove, it means that you're proven that it's not what you think it is. Debunk just sounds like, oh, you're getting out of a bunk. No, just kidding. But I do have to add a little humor there. But but it just does not sound right to use the word debunk. So I use the word disprove. So look at the terrestrial explanation for as far as broken glass. Could a windstorm cause something to break? Could somebody run by and toss a rock, or if you live by a street and or something like that, and a car kicks up a car, could it be that? Again, look at the terrestrial explanation. I'm sure you can find the answer. All right, so we are almost at the break here, but I want to get to this thing here and finish this one up on paranormalist.com under, what was it? A few questions about ghosts. I'm not too sure if ghosts are exactly spiritual in nature or possibly a small rip in time or alternate universes where you're seeing people or things from other times and places they are from to time see us. Well, that is actually an interesting theory there. I mean, and I don't think I really thought about that per se. Yeah, there is always that possibility. But when you actually see somebody that has passed on, I tend to believe it's more the spirit world than, especially somebody like myself that can see the spirit world. I tend to believe it is more a deceased loved one, or even darker entities or lighter entities, no matter what. But there is always that possibility of when you see a doppelganger, somebody that looks like you. That I did not, until probably earlier this year, thought, oh, could it be that it's us from another parallel universe, another timeline, basically, where maybe, like, take me for example, maybe in another universe I'm a superhero, or I'm doing something completely different than what I'm doing here right now. It's quite possible I could be healthy and running, jumping around in another parallel universe. And I do believe there are parallel universes. So There's a lot of questions in this, so I do want to read this all the way through. So I want to check that out. There is also, Nicole brought up, sorry, I got the hiccups, brought up a good point before I go to a commercial break here, is that we could be astral projection and not know it. Yes, there is also that possibility, or out-of-body experience. Near-death experience, stuff like that. There is always those possibilities, and this is why people do get into the field or a lot of people do. Now, back when I got into the field, I'll mention that after the commercial break, but we'll be right back after the short commercial break with more of your questions and phone calls. We'll be right back.
Why does it feel like a monster's chasing me? It's summertime back in 1993. I untangled the wires, and it took quite some time. But when I hit the switch, there you stood. We were miles apart, but then I
Do you have a talk radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube show and would like guests for your show but don't know where to go to get them? Well, go to radioguestlist.com and sign up today. They have all different experts in different fields, and you can find the ones that are just right for your show. That's radioguestlist.com. Sign up today. It's free.
To advertise on Talk in the Night, send an email to talkinthe.night@outlook.com. Talk in the Night has plans to fit your budget. Get your product or business heard around the world by the Talk in the Night listening audience. Plans include 30-second spots and banner ads on the show's website and mentioned on the social media sites. So get your product or business heard around the world today. Shop the Talk in the Night merch store today and pick up one of the many products with 9 different designs to choose from. The store has men's and women's apparel, drinkware, houseware, and accessories. Pick up a t-shirt, coffee mug, or anything else on there and support the show today. Go to talkinthe.night.com to find a link to the merch store.
Sail on off the radar and venture away from this trouble. It will find you. It's behind you. It always is. Unfold from my mind. I don't want you near. If you killed me with kindness, I'd no longer
To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, and we are back with Friday Night Open Lines, where you can call and share your stories, experiences, or questions about the paranormal or any other topic that the show covers. Technology, science, health, wellness, dating, relationship, politics, conspiracies, and veteran issues, which we're going to get into some of that stuff later on. I don't want to stick to all paranormal because that way it gives you other topics to talk about and opens people's eyes to other things. Now, there is one person that just put out a song that I listen to him quite often. I ask that, and this deals with more the politics and conspiracy type thing, but I do ask that you check out the song and make up your own mind, but make your own decision. But and of course, I don't believe everything that the person says, but I do listen to it because it gives me different perspectives on things. That's what I'm doing here, is giving you different perspectives on things. Now, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Let me know what you think. That's where the calls come in. That's where the chat comes in. I want to hear from you, the listening audience. So, again, the numbers to call in are by Skype using the Skype name Talking the Night, or by phone at 817-717-1280, or go over to Spreaker.com, sign up for a free account. It don't cost a thing. You don't have to record anything. Search out Talking the Night, then click on the live show. Scroll down a little bit. There's a chat bar there, and you can chat with me and anybody in the chat. Right now, we got Nicole in there, so feel free to ask her anything about the paranormal. Now, she ain't going to know anything else about anything else that the show talks about, probably, but as far as the paranormal, I trust her, and again, like I said, I don't agree with everybody, what they have, but I do open that discussion. But to get back to what I was talking about, Tom McDonald, if you never heard his music, go to YouTube, search Tom McDonald, MacDonald. Sorry, I had to think of how to spell his last name, but not like the McDonald's, not like McDonald's spelling, but MacDonald. Tom McDonald, he just put out a song called The System, and it's an eye-opener, it's a discussion piece and everything like that. It gets people talking and thinking, well, could that actually be going on? And yes, a lot of what he's talking about is going on. A lot of people just don't care to see it. But I would love to have Tom McDonald on. Even though he's music and I don't really talk about music, it goes with one of the topics of the show cover. So I want to pick his brain one time. So if you know Tom McDonald, please send him a message. Let him know that I would love to have him on the show. And if you want to be on the show yourself, send me a message or an email to talkingthenight@outlook.com. I will look over your information and I will get you on the schedule if I think you're great for the show. Otherwise, you might not get a response back. But otherwise, yeah. So let's continue with the question that I started with before the commercial break. And where was I? I was talking about a thing that I never thought about is possibly seeing people from an alternate time or place and stuff like that. And I really didn't think about that, but there is always that possibility. But continue on with this, and it's quite a long one, so I'm going to try and get through as quickly as possible. I have a question that bothers me from time to time. First of all, how come it seems that ghosts seem to almost always come from the last few hundred years, mostly the Victorian era and not ancient times? Because, well, ancient times, unless you live in those locations, it's usually not prevalent. Maybe they have moved on to the other side. Each religion, each area has their own belief system. So it's a matter of what they believe. Maybe they are not stuck here in our time and space. It's, again, I say, I mean, it's hard to say that they are not here and they're showing themselves as somebody else. Another thing is past lives, which I do believe in. And that is that we live multiple past lives. And again, I could be wrong, but that is my belief system. But maybe those people from ancient times were living in Victorian era times, or maybe they're living now and their soul is in a body. Do you think about that? There is that possibility. So, I mean, there's always that possibility. Continue reading. How come in Egypt we don't hear a 4,000-year-old ghost running around, or ancient Roman ghosts, or spirits of ancient Viking soldiers fighting one another? Well, how do you know that they don't? That's another possibility. How do you know that they don't? Unless you've had that experience or live in places like Egypt or Norway or Iceland and stuff like that where Vikings are part of. How do you know that they're not? A lot of castles are haunted by ghosts from those eras. So, I mean, there is the possibility that they could be, but they could also, their soul could also be in another body, or their soul is from a different time period. There's always that possibility. Again, I look at the terrestrial explanation. I look at every different angle, because by doing that, gives me a different perspective, and it allows me to think, okay, is that a possibility? So, again, how do you know that it's not happening? Also, it continues on. Why does a haunting almost always have to have some kind of tragic backstory to go along with it? Not necessarily. It doesn't. I mean, yes, a lot of people. See, this is where I think a lot of the TV shows have led people kind of astray on the paranormal, because they're watching the show and thinking, oh, this is what the show's telling me, but they're not doing the critical thinking, okay, like I was talking about, how you know that they're not. I mean, think about things. Like we were talking last night with my guest, Pat Daly, about imagination. We lost that imagination. We lost that critical thinking. And we're slowly losing it even more every day. And this is where I come along and try to help people get that critical thinking back, to think about other possibilities, to think about what if you will. And that's, and I know people are probably like, oh, I love hearing this stuff. Well, I mean, if you love hearing it, I appreciate it. I thank you. But also be sure to call in and share your stories, experiences, and everything like that, because I do like to hear those. But going back to this post here and everything like that, I don't think it always has to do with a tragic backstory. Just like a new house can be haunted, and people are like, well, why is it haunted? Because there's nothing tragic that happened there. Well, that's not always the case. It can be haunted because of what happened on the land. And yes, that could be tragic. It could be just, maybe it's somebody that died of old age. There's that possibility too. It does not have to be tragic. Yes, it's tragic that they passed away. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it wasn't what you would really consider tragic. It was tragic for the family, a little tragic for the person that passed away. But when you think tragic and you hear that word, you think, oh, car crash, gunshot, your head being chopped off in ancient France by a guillotine. I mean, think about it. I mean, it doesn't have to always be tragic. So there is that and everything. So let's see. It says and so were lovers who killed themselves after their dad stole to the death. Well, you've been reading too many books there. Thinking Romeo and Juliet or things about the founding fathers' time period and stuff like that. Or even the Old West and stuff, but I mean, it's not always that simple. That's why I say skepticism is always healthy in the paranormal field. It says, Nicole says, when my husband passed in the hospital, and hospitals are always creepy. Yeah, I don't care to go to hospitals myself if I don't have to. Not because of the creepy factor, I just don't like going. That's another story for another day. But let's see. Let's try and... I don't want to answer too much of this because there is a lot here and it's talking about the same thing. So I'm going to kind of cut that there. But because there's so much that I want to talk about. There's so much that I want to get to in tonight's show, and I don't want to take up too much of the time. I don't want to spend a whole half hour talking about that whole post and everything. It was quite a bit. And if you do call in or type in the chat with a question or a story experience, please do make it short. If you're calling in, make it no longer than 2 minutes, because if we do get a lot of calls, I do want to get as many people in as I can. So again, if you want to call into the show, use the Skype name Talk in the Night, or by phone at 817-717-1280, or sign up for the free account on Spreaker and join the chat. So let's see. Let's go to a story. Let's see. Okay, not me, but my family. I think, let's see. Members of Reddit community share their most bizarre and terrifying experiences with the paranormal. And this one is, it says account deleted. And this was commented on 5 years ago, but I'm going to still read it and still give my opinion on it. It says, my grandfather was a bad man, alcoholic, extremely violent, tried to kill my grandmother in front of their kids. One of his less horrible acts was abandoning my grandmother with her 6 kids, all under the age of 12. Some of his kids maintained minimal contact with him. He lived about 30 or 40 miles from my grandmother and the 2 kids who stayed in the area. When he was in his 80s, he was hospitalized and then passed away in the middle of the night. In the morning, his oldest child, one of my aunts, went to the morgue to identify the body and filled out paperwork. On her way, she stopped by my grandmother's to break the news. When she came in, my grandmother said, "Oh, it's a sad day. He died just past midnight." I imagine my grandmother had begun to show some signs of dementia or just basic old age, and so weird comments weren't out of character. And my aunt assumed that the hospital, one of her siblings, had already called to tell her mother the news. My aunt shook it off and drove to the morgue. When she saw the death certificate, she was shocked to see the time of death listed at 12:10 a.m. On her way home, she stopped back at my grandmother's and asked her who had called her to tell her the news and asked why she thought he died just past midnight. My grandmother said, he came to see me about 12:30 and talked for a spell. He wanted to apologize for all he'd done to me and the kids. I think he made his peace and was able to move on, so I'm glad for that. My grandmother that then resumed humming and doing a jigsaw puzzle. My grandmother knew her ex-husband died. Okay. So, this is edited and stuff like that. But anyways, yes, that can happen. That can happen. Okay. Tell them I said good night. But yes, that can happen to where somebody that passed on will visit somebody that they were close to. And I'm glad that it had a good turnout like that. Now, if you were a bad person in life, sometimes you can be a bad person in the afterlife as well. And that's where I don't like to use the word demonic so much as I do use the word darker entity or a poltergeist. And it could have turned out a lot worse. But I'm glad that it turned out that way. So I wanted to share that story. Now, does it happen all the time? No, it doesn't. But it can happen. All right, so we got about 9 minutes till the commercial break at the top of the hour. Again, if you want to call into the show, I will. At the end of the commercial break, it'll give out the numbers. I don't want to give them out too much, but call into the show, go over to Springer, and join the chat. Again, I love to hear from my listeners, and I do interact with as many listeners as I can, and I always interact with my guest. So, let's see, let's go to this site, and let's see, that was, I just want to mention the site, hauntedwalk.com/news/Reddit users share their experiences with the paranormal. So I do want to mention the site that I am pulling this stuff from, so that way you can check it out for yourself. Make sure I'm not telling you a fib that I'm maybe reading something that I made up. No, I don't do that. I'm not that creative. I am creative, but I'm not that creative. And I don't have enough time to do that kind of creative work. All right, so let's go to usmessageboard.com. And it's talking about different paranormal and other experiences. So this one says, if anyone has ever experienced something firsthand, they would consider paranormal. I would be interested in conducting an interview. Never mind. I'm not going to. I will promote the site. I will not promote anybody else trying to do their show unless they're on as a guest. I'm not going to do that. So, again, like I said, I don't review the questions or anything beforehand. I go to it and then I'll look at it and I'll answer it the best. And this way, you know that I'm being authentic. You know that what my response is coming from the heart. It would be the same thing if I had a guest on. It would be the same thing if you called into the show. Everything is authentic. Everything is personal. I am being personable. I am not going to steer you wrong. Or at least I hope I never do. Let's go to the chat actually real quick, because we do have 6 minutes before. And Nicole says, if you want to talk about visitation dreams, I've been seeing the darker entities as well. as departed loved ones lately. That was the first time for me to see a darker entity. And they are not pretty. Yeah, they are not. And I'm not talking about looks either, because a loved one could be like I said, like that grandpa story. He had a bad side to him. If he had taken that bad side to the other side, he could look normal like he did when he was alive, but he would still have that bad energy to him, if you will. So it's not ugly in that way, or not pretty in that way, but there's also the elementals, stuff like that. Like I was talking about different cryptid creatures a while back. Cryptid creatures or UFOs and aliens could be interdimensional beings, and they could be coming through as like a spirit or something like that, a darker entity like a demon. Who's to say that an alien is not a demon? Until you actually got proof of that, there's no way to know. But as far as seeing the darker side of the paranormal, that's where I come into play a lot of times to do cleansings. And I recommend not messing with now Nicole knows what I feel about this. I've talked to her plenty of times on this. But do not mess with the paranormal if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to close that door, because if you leave that door open, even if you put that good intent into open the door to contact the spirit world, if you leave that door open, you're asking yourself to allow something of a darker nature to come through, whether you want it to or not. All it has to do is find that doorway, and it's coming through. She said, I usually hear both from good and evil spirits. That was the first time seeing an evil spirit. Reminds me of an alien or something. Well, again, see, I'm giving you things to think about, to talk about, to discuss by doing this, answering these questions, because you might not have thought of it. Like I mentioned earlier, there was a post that I was reading that I didn't think about that. Like, could these spirits be coming from another, what we think are spirits? Could they be us from another timeline or a parallel universe? I didn't think about that until I saw that. So it gives you a chance to understand that there is possibly other options out there that we don't really know until we actually get to that side of the thing. Now, I've heard people say that Spirit has told me what's on the other side. I've never got them to tell me what's on the other side, what it's like on the other side. They just won't tell me. They're like, you'll find out soon enough. Not literally like I'm going to die tomorrow. No, not that. They mean when my time is up here on this earth, I will know what it's like, no matter what time that is. But they're not going to tell me because they know each person has their own belief system. They're not going to tell me, well, yeah, you go to the streets of heaven, walk the path of gold. No, because they know I'm wicked. So they're not going to tell me exactly what's on the other side, because all they can tell me is what they see. That doesn't mean that every spirit sees that. That's what I believe. So again, I give you the different ways of thinking about things and open your mind to critical thinking. Again, if I'm wrong, call in. Pop in the chat. Let me know I'm wrong. Say hi. And it doesn't have to be about the paranormal. It could be about anything that I talk about. So we are at the top of the hour here. And we'll be right back after the short commercial break with more Friday Night Open Lines and chat. We'll be right back.
Don't wait for me, honey. Don't wait. 'Cause I'm always heading your way. And I know exactly what I'm looking for. And as we go, I'll keep running till I can.
The weather is getting warmer and people are out and about. Well, if you love ghost hunting, now is the time to pick up some new gear. GhostStock.com has a wide variety of equipment to choose from, and one of those items is Blue Buddy. He's back. The talking bear every investigator wants on their team. Click on the Ghost Stop banner ad at the top of the show's website and pick up your Blue Buddy today. Go to spring.com and sign up to create your own design or choose from a design from one of the many creators on there. Spring has ways to integrate your store on social media, custom stores, and they have digital and physical products. While you're there, check out the Talk in the Night merch store. To get started with Spring today, click on the banner ad on the Talk in the Night website. Go to the show's website and click on the links for each of my guests and purchase a book or other product that they may be promoting. Without them, there would be no Talk in the Night. Whether you're interested in the paranormal, conspiracy, technology, health, relationships, or any other topic the show covers, my guests have something for you. Check it out today on talkingthenight.com.
Change is coming for us all. A change is coming. You can win it in the right direction. You can ask it not to call. But change is coming, coming.
To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, and we are back with Friday Night Open Lines again. If you want to call into the show, use the Skype name Talk in the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280. Or go over to Spreaker.com, sign up for our free account. It don't cost a dime. You don't have to record anything. Then search out Talk in the Night. Click on the live show. It'll say live on the show and on the left-hand side of the show when you scroll down. And then click on that. Scroll down a little bit. There's a chat bar there. Pop in the chat. Say hi. Let me know you're listening. Whether you want to ask a question, don't be shy. I do interact with all my listeners and all my guests, but I do love interacting with my listeners because that way they keep coming back. They keep tuning in to hear what I'm talking about, whether it be with a guest or whether it be with Friday Night Open Lines and answering just questions off the internet. Again, I do want to hear your questions. I do want to hear your stories. I do want to hear your experiences because again, I'm going to give you my opinion, but I also will give you something to think about, because you might say, oh, well, this is paranormal, but did you think about this? And then you'll be, a lot of times people will be like, well, shoot, I didn't think about that. Again, like I said earlier, there was that one post that I was reading that could spirits be from another timeline and just us from another timeline? Possible. It's very probable. To say it's true or not, I cannot answer that question, but there is that possibility. There is that probability of it being true. I mean, just like I said, look at doppelgangers. I mean, they could be us from another timeline. So think about it. So let's go to this ghost. And speaking of space-time and the spirit world and everything like this is from usmessageboard.com, and it says space-time and ghost. And it says, I created this thread while knowing that the explanation will not be simple. Eventually, then I will do my best with some links of me. I start with this link: past, present, and future exists now. Again, I'm not going to promote anybody. So, like I said, I don't pre-screen the questions or anything like that beforehand. So I do come across stuff like this and think, okay, there's, but I'm not going to promote anybody except for the website that I'm using this to get the questions from. But I do want to continue on here to this part where, so I wonder if it's possible that the ghost I saw in the past was not a rip in space-time. Perhaps I would have witnessed a moment in life of this woman, and that is not a ghost that would have appeared. I hope I explained myself enough. And again, as I was talking earlier, that could there be a, could what you think is a spirit, could it be somebody from another time and space, space and everything, a parallel universe, or however you want to look at it? Yes, there is that probability. Nicole says, like Bigfoot, maybe be an interdimensional being too. Again, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Mothman. I mean, look at how long it's been since we've heard about the Loch Ness Monster. Or, on the Talking Tonight website, there's a banner ad there for Unexplained Mysteries. There was actually a story about Loch Ness Monster. Maybe he just comes in from the deep, or he or she, I don't know. I can't say if it's a he or she. But whatever, the Loch Ness Monster, could it be coming from the deep through an underground tunnel that leads into the loch that goes out to the ocean and everything, and lives in the deep? It lives out in the oceans, because as I was mentioning with my guest last night, that we know more about space than we do our oceans and deepest parts about it. And there is probably creatures out there that we do not know exist, or there are creatures that once long time ago existed and we just never see them because they stay out in the deep. There have been people that claim to see Megalodon, a very giant 70-foot shark. Could Megalodon exist in the deep? Possible. It could have died out, but it is possible that they found a way to survive. Again, with the Loch Ness Monster, could it be living out in the deep and maybe going down to maybe warmer waters during the winter months, fall and winter months when it's colder, and coming up to the loch and going through that tunnel to breed in the loch during the spring and summer. Possible. Again, I'm looking at every possibility. I'm looking at the terrestrial explanation. I'm giving you ideas to think about, to critically think about. Could this be real? Could this happen? Is it possible? Is it probable? And again, I look at everything with a skeptical mind as well as what I believe. Because no matter, I know that spirits are real, but I also look and say, well, could it be somebody from another time and space? Could it be what I'm seeing is just my imagination? Could it be what I'm seeing or hearing is actually something that can be explained, like I said, animals in the wall or electrical wiring faulty, stuff like that. I mean, I try to explain it away before I say that anything is paranormal, unless the spirit is standing in front of me. And now, like I said, with the whole thinking that could it be us? Well, if it's me, then I know it's somebody from another timeline. But if it's like my parents or my grandparents, could it be them from another timeline? And of course, being able to see and communicate with the spirits, I'm going to ask them that question from now on, because I want to know. I know I'm never going to get the answer of what happens when we pass on, but maybe they'll answer that question. They'll be like, no, we're from the afterlife or something like that. But until I get that answer, that is my critical thinking mind going over, well, what is the possibility that this could be something that we never thought about? And this is what I do this show for, is to give people different thought processes on things, give different people different experiences to talk about this stuff. So let's get away from the paranormal for a little bit here, and let's get into some technology questions here. Again, I do want to get as many topics as I can in besides the paranormal. Yes, I know a lot about the paranormal. I've been in the field 30 plus years, but I do want to cover other things too. And last night we were talking with my guest, Pat Daly. We were talking about technology, how it's advancing at a high rate of speed and everything like that, and how his book might be not relevant in like even 30 years, maybe less. So let's talk about technology. All right, so let's see. This is from printdiscuss.com/technology conversation questions. And this, number 2 on this thing, is technology developing faster than it used to? Are you worried about being left behind? No, I mean, there are a lot of people that still don't have, and there are a lot of times older people that don't understand the technology that our younger generation has. And I'm guilty of it myself. There are some things that I really don't understand in technology. But what I do know in technology, like for doing this show, and knowing the mixing board and knowing the computer systems, know how to get to different things, I adapted with technology. I started learning about things that I wanted to know. And that's where I'm good at doing. I'm not really a big book reader, but I am a big doer as far as learning something and doing it, and trial and error. So to do this show, I had to learn how to do it. I listened to other people that did shows, how to do interviews, how to ask questions, answer questions, stuff like that. And I learned how to get my show on multiple sites, which I do want to mention. If you go to Talk of the Night, scroll all the way down to the bottom. The show is on 2 new podcast platforms, Podbean and Podchaser. There's little banners at the bottom right that is linked up to all the sites where the show can be heard recorded. Not live. The only place you can hear the show live is on Spreaker.com for those listening later on, maybe tomorrow or something like that, or a couple of days from now. But Friday and every Monday through Friday, the only place that you can hear me live is on Spreaker. Now, yes, you might click on the thing that says I'm live on when I post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, and so forth, that says I'm live. When you click on that link, it's going to bring you right to Spreaker. You're just listening through those social media sites. But as far as being live, Spreaker is the only place that you're hearing me live. So, again, I know I've got people listening on Spreaker right now, but I do also have people listening from my social media sites as well. So, again, pop in the chat. Just say hi. You don't have to ask a question. Like I said, I do interact. If you pop in the chat, I will mention that you're in the chat if you want to. If you don't want to be mentioned, just pop in and say, hi, I'm listening. Please don't mention me. But get back to this question about technology. Is technology developing faster than it used to? Are you worried about being left behind? In some aspects, yes. In some aspects, no. Now, where I do not mind being left, behind, and I think everybody should be worried about this, but again, to each their own, is microchips in our bodies and everything like that. I think that that's one part that I do not want to be a part of. And I have my own belief system on that, but we're not going to talk about that. Because that's another show, another day. But, yeah, I do get worried about stuff like that. Things that might be helpful to me, but other things that I'm not, I don't care. So there's a technology question here. Let's get into a science question here. And let's see. Let's go. And this is forums.livescience.com. And let's see. There's some health and wellness here too as well. But let's go to robotics and AI. And we did talk about robotic stuff last night and everything like that. And let's see. Okay, now technology and science is probably not one of my biggest, strongest suits. So if I don't know the answer, if you call in and ask me a question or type in the chat a question, I don't know the answer, I will let you know I do not know the answer. I will try to find out the answer for you, but I will do my best to answer it. So, I hate ads. So, let's see. Let us assume that you is an average U is the average speed of an airplane, and it be the average time taken when the airplane is traveling at U speed. Speed is defined as, well, there's a lot of math and everything, but it says hopefully this is helpful. But yeah, no, that's not really a question. So again, I don't pre-screen the discussions, the questions or anything like that. So I tried to do my best. And this says, let's go to, will Neuralink succeed? Will Elon Musk Neuralink succeed? What is the chance of it succeeding in percentage? What impact will it have on the world if it succeeds? Human extinction, use of AR without devices such as phones, since it is implanted into you. I know the project is still very early stages, but what do you guys think? Will it succeed or is it doomed to fail? And personally, and this is just my personal belief, this is my personal thought on this, in a way, I hope it fails. Because just like computers and phones can be hacked, if you have that in your body, so can that be hacked. So can that be used to track you. Yes, that's getting into the conspiracies, but it's there is really, there's theories and there's fact, and a lot of conspiracies are becoming fact. They're becoming to where they're coming true and everything like that. Look at Roswell. Look at Area 51. Those were conspiracies. But what happened now? Everybody knows that Area 51 is real because it took them a long time to come out about Area 51 being real. They said it didn't exist. It was a conspiracy theory. But even though people knew. But now they came out and told everybody Area 51 is real. Look at Roswell. It was told that it was swamp gas, weather balloon, stuff like that. Just last year or this year, I forget when, it came out that there was an actual crash at Roswell. Until then, it was a conspiracy. Now it's conspiracy fact. So I believe that there is fact in this, and personally, I hope it does fail. But again, that's my opinion. But don't, just like, I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to talk too much about my personal beliefs. But personally, I do think this will fail. I hope it doesn't succeed. So, again, let's go into another thing that the show talks about. Again, I want to try and get many questions about all the topics that the show covers, so that way, you know, I can answer these questions. I mean, I answered a technology question. I answered a science question. Stuff like that. So, again, if I don't know the answer, I will let you know I don't know the answer. But I do want to give you the option, if you do have a question or a story experience, call into the show using Skype name Talking the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280, or sign up for a free account on Spreaker.com, search out Talking the Night, and then click on the live show, and then scroll down a little bit. There's a chat bar there, and you can chat with me or just let me know you're listening by saying hi. Again, I do interact with all my listeners. So let's go into a whole dating and relationship stuff. Now, I will mention that I've, in my almost 50 years on this earth, in this life form, in this life, I've had some broken hearts. I've had people ghost me. I've had trouble with relationships, with cheating and stuff like that. Not me. That's not what I do. But anyways, this is something I know a little bit about. Now, again, to each person, they're going to have a different take on it, and I will answer it the best that I can. I'm not saying that I'm going to give you the right answer, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, my opinion, and let you know. And again, I don't pre-screen the questions, so you don't know what you're getting. I don't even know what I'm getting. Like I said, I'm running across a couple of things that I thought were questions, and turns out they were trying to promote their stuff, which I'm fine with if you want to do that, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to promote the website I'm using. This comes from siteform.com/relationship, just so that you know where I'm getting these from. So let's see here. Let's go to seeking advice, relationship, and, well, no, I don't want to do that one because, the S word, sex. So let's see. No, let's see. I'm just trying to find a good one again because I don't pre-screen everything. I don't. Let's go with something I know about: lying and cheating. I've had people women cheat on me before, so it's something that I know what I'm talking about. For the first 5 years of my relationship with my boyfriend, he has basically acted like he was single, obviously not in front of me, but when he was not with me, he has lied and cheated, and I obviously should leave. My question is this: taking into account that all the dirty things he has done to me, lying and cheating, talking to get girls behind my back, texting girls behind my back while he was sitting in my bed, just to name a few, does he have any right to question anything that I do at this point in time when I really do nothing wrong? I'm at home, I'm working, I don't do anything wrong. Well, the first thing you are doing wrong is staying with somebody like that. I have a friend that she was with the guy for 8 months off and on, but she just recently found out that he was cheating on her with a girl that he cheated on his ex-wife with. And I do see that people that rush into relationships, and that's why I don't like to rush into relationships, because then you don't know about the person. Yes, but at the same time, you do have to ask questions. If you do notice stuff like him going behind your back or texting somebody that you don't know, I mean, ask questions and discuss it with your partner. And if they're not willing to discuss it, then that's when you should get up and leave. Again, just my opinion, my thoughts on it. Because I've gotten to the point, like, if you cheat on me, you lie to me, you ghost me, well, there is no second chance. It's bye-bye, adios, see you later. Yeah, I don't put up with that stuff. So, personally, I would say leave. Now, there are people that say, well, I can't leave. I got a kid with them. Yes, you can. You're making excuses for his behavior. Again, I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But yes, you can leave. You can say, I'm not going to allow myself to be treated this way anymore. And do so. I mean, but again, That's just my opinion. That's my thoughts on it. So we are at the last commercial break of the night here, but we'll be back after this short commercial break with more of your calls and chat questions. We'll be right back.
Ain't scared of nothing, I was born in hell. We got the heat, the sinners, and the devil is welling. This kind of town, it just fans the flame. It don't mean nothing unless the world knows your name. And my friend plays a mean guitar. He writes the riffs and I sing the bars. And we practice in abandoned railroad cars. We sound like trash but think we're superstars. We were just young, dreaming the dream, and trying to make our name up on that local scene. Till late one night when my friend left town, and I started hearing music without the sound.
Do you need music for your radio show, podcast, or YouTube channel, but need a music license to play it on your show? Well, go to artlist.io and check out the plans they have. They have 3 plans to choose from: personal, unlimited, and enterprise. All the music that you hear on the show is from Artlist, and there is a banner ad on the show's website. Check it out today. Do you love the strange, unusual, and weird unexplained mysteries? Do you like reading about the paranormal and other happenings? Well, I have the website for you, unexplainedmysteries.com. On there you will find so much, such as the latest news and articles, forums, news with video, and so much more. That's unexplained-mysteries.com, or you can click on the banner ad on the show's website to take you right there. Do you love history? Do you wonder what happened on this day in history? Well, check out history.com/this day in history and find out what happened on this day in recorded history. You can also click on the image on the Talk of the Night website under This Day in History and check out one of the many things that happened. The show's website lists a different event in history every day, so check it out today.
Sin creeping down my skin, I can feel it spreading when it begins. Oh fool, don't you know the rules? You should steer away before you lose. And boom, you're waiting in my room, and I can see you smiling. I say, am I doomed?
To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now back to Talk in the Night with your hosts, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, and we are back in the last segment, the half hour of the show. So if you want to call in, share your stories, experiences, or questions with me and ask me questions about the paranormal, anything else that the show covers. Like I said, I'm going through a list of stuff that I talk about on the show, such as the paranormal. I do that quite a bit. Talk about technology and science, health and wellness, dating and relationships, politics and conspiracies, and of course veterans issues. And I do want to mention, in about 3 weeks, starting May 30th, that whole week, I will be welcoming guests that are from veteran organizations. So if you are a veteran of the armed services and want help with something or stuff like that, tune in that week. And as a veteran myself, I'm doing this to help other veterans as well. So also on the 14th, I'm going to be on a show that I had the guest on Wednesday. Misty and Lisa, their show, We're All Psychics podcast. I'm going to be on their show on the 14th. I will share those links as soon as I can, as soon as I get them. But I will be on that show. It will not be live. It's recorded. So you can't ask me questions. But they might have a spot where you can ask me questions beforehand. Send it in to them and ask me questions. Now, also, if you're listening to this recorded, if you want to ask me questions, post a question on my social media under my post. Send me an email with your questions if you want to do it that way. Or your stories and experiences if you don't want to call in or you don't want to pop in the chat. I will answer it. If you want to remain anonymous, you can as well. Just let me know that you want to remain anonymous. Otherwise, I will mention your name. Now, I will only mention your first name. So don't worry. I'm not going to mention your last name. I'm not going to call you out on the air unless you want that. Now, my guests, I do mention their last name because they give me that last name. But for listeners, I will not do it. So let's get into some politics and conspiracy type questions now. And we're going to get into that aspect. Like I said, I cover a wide variety of topics except for sports and music, unless it has to do with any of the topics that I talk about. Now, if you want to call in and share your stories, experiences, or questions, the numbers to call in are by Skype using the Skype name Talking the Night, or by phone at 817-717-1280, or go over to Springer.com, sign up for a free account. It don't cost a thing. You don't have to record anything, and you just search out Talking the Night and find the live show, click on that, and then scroll down a little bit. There's a little chat bar. You can pop in the chat and say hi and ask your questions or share your stories and experiences. Now, if you do call, again, keep the calls to a minimum of 2 minutes, just in case I get rushed with phone calls. Also, please do not be rude to other callers or other listeners or myself, because you will get hung up on that way, or if you're in the chat, you will get blocked that way. So, let's go with political issues. On this side, it's politicforums.org/forums. And my cat wants out. Give me 1 second, folks. And I will let him out. Go. My cat likes to go out, and but he also likes to come in and eat real quick and then go right back out. But he knows his bedtime. He knows when he has to come back in. But he decided, normally he waits till after I'm done with my show, but he was meowing to come in during the last commercial break to be fed, which I did feed him and everything like that. And I was like, maybe he'll be quiet and stay in till I'm done with the show, but I guess not. And I don't think you want to hear meow while I'm on the air. Now, my cat's name is Max, so if you want to buy anything and help out the show, go to talkingthenight.com, go to the store and purchase one of the t-shirts or anything else that I sell. Now, Spring does have something, I think, coming up where starting Monday, where if you sell the most items, you get something. So help me out by going to talkingthenight.com. Go to the store, click on the link for any of the products. I got 9 different designs up there. Help out the show. You can help out buying Max some food. There's a show that I listen on YouTube, Smoke and Scam. And I will call it the name of that show because I love the show. But anyways, he's got a black and white cat that is a little mischievous like my cat, but his cat doesn't go outside because of where he lives. There's coyotes and stuff like that. I really don't have that except for traffic, and my cat knows to avoid that. But he does wander around the apartment complex where I'm at. So I do let him go out. I know he ain't going very far. He knows where to come back and get food. But let's go to this political issues. Let's go to economics and capitalism. And let's see what kind of questions there are there, or maybe they're not questions, or maybe they're polls. And let's see. Let's click on this because it's in the news, and I think we're getting to the point where we're believing a lot of BS. But then again, that's my opinion. But this says Ukraine situation affecting oil, gas prices. A lot of people, you hear the administration say, well, it's Putin's fault. No, it's because of all the stimulus checks that were put out. It's because of inflation. It's because of the Federal Reserve that higher gas prices. It's because of the Federal Reserve and the central banks for higher food prices. Now, when I was young, $20 of today's money could buy a whole basket of groceries. I can get very little stuff and spend like $60 to $80, and I'm only getting a few items, basically, depending on what I'm buying. Like today I bought ice cream because I needed ice cream. But I spent on 3 things of ice cream. I got a tub of ice cream, I got those drumstick cones, and I got ice cream sandwiches. I spent $25 on just those 3 items alone. Back in the 70s when I was born, $20 of our money would have bought maybe, I want to say about, let's say, I'm trying to think, it would buy probably like 4 or 5 of those tubs, if not more. But again, things were not expensive back then, and you had more purchasing power, but you also made less money back then. Now we still make a little more money today, but inflation is going up higher and higher, faster than what we are making in money. And our purchasing power is going down. Welcome back, Nicole. No worries. So, again, I don't think it's the whole Ukrainian-Russian thing. That's what they're telling us, but I don't think that's it. I think it's the Federal Reserve, and I might get my show shadow banned. I might get my show removed because I'm talking about it. Yes, that would be a conspiracy theory because I don't know for a fact, but it has happened to people when you mention something that they don't like. Those tend to get hidden deep away or taken away completely. So I appreciate Speaker for allowing me to get these questions out, these discussions out, these guests out to talk about this stuff, and allow me to talk about it because free speech is part of our Constitution. And as long as you're not, I think everybody should be able to say whatever they please, as long as they're not harming somebody or threatening to harm somebody. And that is a whole nother story if they're doing that. But saying that the government is bad, I'm not saying that I want to harm the government. I'm not saying I want to harm anybody in the government. I'm just saying the government is bad. I mean, again, my right to my opinion in the political sphere is just that. And you have a right to agree or disagree with me whether you want to or not. And that's where we should be open to having discussions about it. But let's go into this post. Again, Ukraine situation affecting oil, gas prices. With the situation between Russia and Ukraine brewing into a possible war, which I don't think is happening. I think they're lying to us, and the news media is feeding propaganda to us. They lie a lot. They do propagate. Look into it. Google search it. They do. It seems that, continuing on, it seems that it is affecting prices of oil. Again, it's not the war that is bumping up the oil prices. It's the greedy oil companies that are funded by the government. They want this war because that means more prices for their pocketbooks while they're supplying these fuel to war machines and stuff like that, and big companies that produce these machines and stuff in the war effort. But I saw a picture where they're talking about Ukraine being a war zone. Well, I saw a video of Ukraine, and you can look at Ukraine live, Kiev. I always want to say it wrong. I want to say Kiev, but it's Kiev. I don't know why I always want to say Kiev, but it's Kiev. Look at Kiev live on YouTube. I don't see missiles flying in. I don't see tanks driving down the street. I don't see buildings being desecrated. Not to say it's not happening in some part in Ukraine, but they've tried to mention that Kyiv was being overrun. I don't see it happening. Their story is falling apart more and more, but they keep putting it out there, and people keep buying the story. They keep buying the lie. But continuing on, thus translated into a tremendous increase in gas prices. The price of gas has been past $3 a gallon since last year, and I'm worried that it might soon see $4 a gallon. Now, that depends on where you're at. If you're in California, it's over $6 a gallon. And there have been places that if you're like out in the middle of the desert where there's only one gas station, you're looking at $8, $9, $10 a gallon of gas because they know you will pay it because you're driving through an area that is very few gas pumps, far and few in between. But continue on. 4 gallons of gas as early as next month. If this situation, and this was in February last year, or February of this year when this post was made. If the situation evolves into a bloody war, just a single price of gas increased so much, I am against $4 a gallon gasoline and blame it all on Biden. Well, yes, Biden is in office. You can blame him, but you can also blame Trump for this too. And I know I'll probably get some backlash for this. But if you can see my shirt right now, I am wearing a shirt that says, I don't support Republicans. I don't support Democrats. I do, however, support freedom. And the reason why is because both Republicans and Democrats, Biden and Trump, they're both working for the same masters. They're working for their own agendas, but they all work for the same boss. They work towards the same thing, just slightly different. So, again, I might get backlash for it, but again, I'm giving you my personal opinion on my thoughts on it. Also, like I said, go check out Tom McDonald new song, The System, and you'll see what I mean, what he talks about. And if you know Tom McDonald, please send him a message. Let him know I'm part of the Hangover gang, that I would love to talk to him about his music and talk about his message in the songs and everything like that. More so the message in the songs, not the music so much. But again, that's the only way I will talk about music. Otherwise, the only music you're going to hear on the show is during the commercial breaks. Nicole says, Yeah, gas prices is crazy here. It makes me glad I don't drive anymore. But it's affecting you not just in gas prices. This is what I'm trying to say. It's not affecting you in gas prices. Just gas prices. If you think about it, even with the rise in gas prices, well, who does it affect? It affects the truckers. It affects the farmers that have to use that fuel to power their tractors to produce the fruits and vegetables, or the cattle farmer to get out there and feed their cattle and get those cattle to market and to where you can eat meat. So unless you're self-sufficient, where you have your own cattle, you have your own chickens, you have your own garden, I mean, you're paying that gas price whether you think you have a car or not. You're paying that because everybody else, to feed you or clothe you or other things, is affecting you. And again, I don't see it as what they're trying to put off as Russia's fault, or maybe they're blaming Ukraine. No, it is the Federal Reserve and the central banking system. And like I said, you can blame Biden, you can blame Trump. I mean, look at both of them signed, like Trump signed $6.2 trillion in stimulus. Now, if you break that down, we didn't get very much of that. We got less than $500 million for the whole country. Where did the rest? I think if I did the math right, but I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. But where did the rest of the money of that $6.2 trillion go? There's one person that I listen to. Again, I don't agree with everything that everybody says, but I do listen to it. I do the research and I look it up myself. And think about it. If you had $1 for every second that you live, how long would you have to live to earn just 1 trillion, not 6.2 trillion, but just 1 trillion if you had $1 for every second of your life? You would have to live over 31,000, not 100, not 31 decades, not 31 months, over 31,000 years, making $1 each second of every day to make just $1 trillion. So think about it. The central bank is devaluing the dollar and causing these prices to soar. Now, I kind of mix government and conspiracy there together, because we are almost out of time. I almost kept going and talking about things. Now, if you want to see the story of the day, it's going to be up there for about another hour. I did get something wrong. I'll probably fix that right after the show. Maybe. I might not. But it was talking about a person that was thought to be dead, knocking from the inside of the coffin. And turns out they were alive, but they ended up dying. But you can read the story up on the Talk of the Night website, talkofthenight.com. But we are almost out of time for tonight's show. Again, if you want to call in next week is a special Friday night open lines, and I will mention that here in a second. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, listening to the show. I want to thank Nicole for coming into the chat and everything like that and listening. Again, don't be shy. Pop in the chat, say hi. Let me know you're listening, and also join the discussion. You don't have to ask a question or tell a story experience on Friday nights, and you don't have to ask a question on while I have guests. I mean, I write enough questions for my guests to last a 5-hour show. But I do want to, before we head out of here tonight, I do want to mention what we do have coming up. But yeah, I get it, Nicole. I saw that you were not feeling well, so that's fine. Again, like I said, I don't mind if you don't call. I could talk about, again, I got a lot of new different sites that I can look at Friday night and answer questions. There's so much I could go over. I didn't go over a lot tonight, but I went more in depth to things than I probably should have. But again, 3 weeks from Monday, we're going to be joined by veterans. So if you are a veteran of the armed services, join me for that. We got some great shows coming up for that. But I do want to mention what we do have coming up for next week. And I got some great shows. And normally there's a lot of shows about the paranormal. Well, guess what? I only have one paranormal show besides Friday Night Open Lines next week. Next week, Monday night, we're going to be joined by my guest, Randy Lee Boslaw, and I probably mispronounce it, but I'll get that right when she comes on. And we're going to be talking about mental health in our life. We're going to be talking about mental health in our society. We'll talk about the mental health people have suffered during the pandemic, or as I call it, the plandemic. And if you know, you know. But we're going to be joined by her on Monday night. Then on Tuesday night, we're going to get into dating and relationship in this day and age. And we're going to be joined by my guest, Nicole Fanning, as we talk about the current state of dating and relationships in this day and age. We'll talk about dating and relationships during the pandemic or plandemic, however you see it. We're going to talk about dating apps and so much more. And she is an author, so we're going to talk about her book as well. And we're going to talk about Randy's book on Monday as well, too. I do want to mention that. So we'll talk about Nicole Fanning's book, Catalyst and Unite. And all the links for all my guests are up on the Talking the Night website, talkingthenight.com. Then we're going to get on Wednesday, we're going to get into terrorism as I'm joined by my guest, Joseph Leonard, as we talk about terrorism. We're going to talk about terrorist organizations around the world, as well as what they might be planning. We're also going to talk about his book, Terror Strikes. I want to make sure I got that right. So we're going to do that on Wednesday. Then Thursday, we're going to be, there's the Paranormal Show where we welcome my guest, Tony Green. She was supposed to be Monday night this week, but something came up the Sunday, just the day before her show. So she had to reschedule for next week because my other guests for Thursday of next week could not make it or didn't get back to me in time, I should say, more or less. And I was able to fill her in there. So we're going to talk about hypnosis and psychic healing with her. We're going to talk about her TV shows, her radio show, and so much more. And then next Friday is Friday Night Open Lines. But again, like I said, it's a special Friday Night Open Lines. Next Friday is Friday the 13th. So we have a special Friday Night Open Lines Friday the 13th. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Friday the 13th open special line where you can call in, share your stories, experiences, and questions that you have. But I'll also want to hear your superstition questions, and we'll talk about that next week. So until Monday night when I welcome my guest, Randy Lee Barrows, we talk about mental health. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and until then, I shall see you on the dark side. Good night from Talking the Night. Late at night, Darkness has fallen. Turn on the radio, and you hear him talking. Listening to what he has to say, all about the paranormal and all of the things. When he sounds off, you can hear him